It's September 22nd, 2021. Nucci's not feeling well. He came home, his nose was running yesterday at the park. He was up all night. I don't know if it's weather related, I don't know if it's school related. I used to have really bad sinus drainage as a kid. Myself, they used to call it allergies. Now, I don't know in what country does this, if somebody a politician stands with an AK-47 and has a message, why is that different than a politician who stands?
All right, thank
and
you so much.
This is the background. Watch this.
Whether to extend Governor Lamont's pandemic-related emergency powers during an expected meeting next week. Right now, his authority is scheduled to expire next Thursday. Governor Lamont says
that's a weapon right there. That's a bioengineered weapon. Why the hell is this? This has become a daily occurrence on the television. I really don't see, it's an intimidation tactic. I really don't see the difference. This is not helpful. This is not something to be welcomed with open arms. This is something to be feared like nobody else, because they can put this in their pocket, sneak up behind you, and just stick you with it. Just anybody. As long as they get their hands on something like this. And it doesn't matter in predictive programming. They usually don't care, and that's even more scary. So I'm a little confused why this message all of a sudden has been so accepting by the people. Furthermore, hang on, I gotta pause this for a second. Okay, then there's a place I've heard the humans speak of it. It's called Rikers Island. They say it's a correctional facility. I don't know what that means. Is that like an ICE detainee place for refugees and immigrants that come in, that something's wrong? Is that a prison? I'm a resident of New York, and I've never been educated on what any of these facilities are for or do. I've also never been asked for my opinion or to vote or to put my word in. Or anybody who said, you know what, why don't you come to this community meeting so we can teach everybody at once what this is all about, because it is going to affect you, and it's in your residential area. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Here's how the news describes whatever's going on there.
Well, now Attorney General Letitia James is going to look at any legal action that her office could take about the situation behind me at Rikers. At the same time, the mayor is calling on the NYPD to help out.
Plagued by dysfunction, neglect, and violence is how Rikers Island is being described by Attorney General Letitia James. She visited Tuesday with a group of city and...
She's the Attorney General? Attorney General for what? I'm still at prisoner of war in the missing in action encampment of concentration camp in Bayside Station, New York. She's the one heading up some attorney general's office. Are there any representatives that look like they might actually care about my story? Or is everybody in this one genetic closet that just has other things to do and doesn't really give a shit about one white girl? I'm just curious.
And state officials. So far this year, 11 inmates have died while in custody, and the New York Post is reporting a 12th tried hanging himself in front of a group of visiting lawmakers earlier this month. During one of those other visits, Rikers was described as a humanitarian
in front of lawmakers,
crisis, having no working toilets, unsanitary conditions, and a lack of medical assistance for those who needed it. Finding beds for inmates is another issue, so the Correction Department has reopened a section of the jail that had been closed.
Yesterday, new intake spaces were opened at Rikers 2 clinics, and an additional housing unit. Everyone must go through intake in less than 24 hours.
The jail is also dealing with a staffing shortage. At one point this summer, more than 3,000 of the jail's 8,000 guards were either out sick or medically unfit to work with inmates. And if jail guards refuse to come to work, the city is suspending them for 30 days without pay. So now, the mayor is reassigning about 100 NYPD officers to work inside courthouses so that correction officers who are currently working in the courts can work at Rikers.
100 cops, every officer matters for sure. We are talking about a force of 35,000. We'll use overtime as necessary to help ensure that we can get the most done with minimal impact on other work the NYPD is doing.
And the city is bringing in private security to help as well. And in about 3 hours at 11 o'clock this morning, there will be a protest and a rally outside City Hall. There will be community members, elected officials, and families asking for something to be done, specifically calling on the mayor to shut down Rikers. We're live here in East Elmhurst, Queens. Reagan Maggi, Good Day New York. Rosanna, back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Reagan. Meanwhile, lawmakers in Connecticut are considering whether to extend Governor Lamont's pandemic.
I'm star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I am in a place that flies a flag that looks like this. I grew up in a place that flew a flag like this. The problem is with where I grew up, they did not teach us in any of the school systems, not either the public or the private Catholic school systems. They did not teach us about what a jail was. My grandfather took me on a field trip to the local NYPD. We did a walk through to see what a local jail was. But I was probably about New Cheese age. That was really confusing. But they never went through how the government was set up and how to protect ourselves, what was acceptable, what wasn't acceptable. Like, there was no city congruency at the time. And I don't know if that's because of this flux that's going on or this changeover, like for me, unexpectedly. But there was no civics. I mean, there was no American history really taught. I mean, there was some attempt. Western history was even worse. I mean, the books were from like the 60s. And, I mean, they went back to like, they talked about in Western European history. The only thing I remember is something about Mesopotamia and Sumer. And it was one paragraph. That was it. And on the American history side, they went through some pictures of the American presidents, but they didn't really teach anything that, like, there was no application for American history. Like, there was no, like, this is a work in progress, you're a part of something. There was none of that. It was really just like shuffling us from one classroom to get some kind of like check mark on a task sheet that the evil criminals from everywhere are working off of, and moving us into another room to educate us a little bit more on things that just check off a box on some like high grade PhD lawmakers to-do list with the drug pharmaceuticals that they're pushing and the big technology companies. That's what it really feels like. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. I'm at Bayside Station, Bayside, New York. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken.